Long, long ago, there were two twin brothers. Their names were Hoffer and Hansi Haykorn. They were passionate about aviation and often went on flights together. Hoffer had always dreamed of going skydiving, even though Hansi had a fear of water. One day, Hansi decided that, for Hoffer and his birthday, he would make an appointment with the St. Kitts Super Squirrel Skydiving Association. Even though he was terrified of the ocean, Hansi wanted to do this for his brother. It was his third birthday and an important birthday for both of them. A midlife crisis was impending. Today was the day, April 1st, 1492. They were ready. They had arrived at the St. Kitts Super Squirrel Skydiving Association, and they were ready to don their goggles and turtlenecks.
Yes!
The plan was to get in the plane, take off, and fly around the south tip of the island along the coast. Once in the air, they noticed some weird looks from their fellow skydiving squirrel companions. Something seemed wrong. The pilot wasn't in the cockpit any longer, and the plane seemed to be going slower than before. There was a loud bang. Suddenly, the back propeller exploded. Sparks flew, and the squirrels all shrieked in fear. It was time to jump. They were too far away from shore.
No!
As they were launched out of the plane and into the air,
Boom!
Hansi called out to Hoffer, saying,
My brother! Remember me!
They plummeted down into the ocean, bracing themselves for their demise. They hit the water with a
Splash!
and coughed and spluttered as they reached the surface. The waves were treacherous, and Hoffer began to call out to Hansi.
Hamzy! Hamzy! Where art thou, brother?
There was no response. The waves dragged him back under. As he surfaced, he tried to call out again, but there was no use.
Hamzy!
Hansi was gone! His energy was waning and his treading slowed. Then, everything went black.
Breaking news. Two newly identified squirrel species after the split of two islands, St. Kitts and Nevis. One squirrel species has been identified on St. Kitts and the other on Nevis. Scientists believe that at one point in time these two species were once identified as one. Because of this breaking news, we have invited a guest on the news today. Please welcome Dr. Russell, as she has practiced research in evolution and on this specific case for the last 70 years. This is because she found it very interesting from the day she read about it and wanted to see how it impacted the species.
Dr. Russell, what's going on with the squirrel populations on St. Kitts and Nevis?
Hi, yes, so I'm actually currently at Nevis. So over time, the squirrel population split into two populations that looked identical but would not mate with each other. The St. Kitts squirrels are now known as Cirrus hophius, and the Nevis squirrels are known as Cirrus hamsius. Even when scientists tried to reintroduce the Nevis squirrels to St. Kitts, the two populations would not reproduce. This is most likely because they evolved into two different species of rodent and they are no longer reproductively compatible.
That's very interesting. What evidence do you have to back this up with?
I am in the water now, swimming, yes, but there are observable physical differences between the squirrels on St. Kitts and the squirrels on Nevis. As we can see in the data table above, for example, their hind limb length is quite different, with the St. Kitts rodents having a 3.6 centimeter increase from Nevis rodents. There are also differences in their top speed and average leap height, with St. Kitts rodents performing more than 2 times higher than Nevis rodents. Another disadvantage can be seen when we look at the gestation time and average time spent in courtship, while comparing the two, with St. Kitts rodents having a lower time period for both, which allows them to find a mate and reproduce quicker.
We have received insight that the founder's effect may have been involved in this. Is this true? The founder's effect is when a population is created as a small group of individuals is separated from a larger population.
Yes, we do see that occurring in this situation. This is because when the plane crashed, though they had both lived in St. Kitts and been part of one large population, one of the squirrels ended up on Nevis while the other went back to St. Kitts. So this means that all of the Nevis squirrels are descendants of Hamsi, which allows for very limited genetic variation in that population.
Oh wow, this is great information. I'm sure that will clear up a lot of questions. How about mutation? In biology, mutation refers to an altering in the DNA sequence of an organism.
Mutation is pretty obviously a part of this situation. That is how the separated squirrel populations become genetically different. So the two squirrel populations continue to reproduce in their separate environments, and random mutations arose over time as more and more generations of squirrels were born. These mutations likely varied in their helpfulness to squirrels' ability to survive and reproduce. Some mutations that gave the squirrels favorable traits, or those that enabled them to survive in specific environmental conditions, spread and became more common because the squirrels with those traits survived longer and had more offspring as a result.
What role does habitat isolation play in this situation? Habitat isolation occurs when populations of a species move to a new habitat and no longer overlap with other individuals of their species. This forms a new reproductively and genetically independent group.
Well, actually, I have a PhD in biology, so I already know that. But we do see this here as they were pushed into two different locations by a horrific event. Horrific. So this habitat separation caused the one species of rodent to evolve into two, and this happens because of living in different environments and naturally occurring genetic mutations over time.
So, why is it that the two squirrel species can no longer reproduce with each other?
Well, the two species are not able to reproduce with each other because they have become reproductively incompatible. There are various reasons why two previously compatible species can become incompatible, and in the case of St. Kitts and Nevis squirrels, it seems like the prevention of gene flow through geographic isolation is the culprit. Cyrus hophius and Cyrus hamzius squirrels are geographically separated from each other by the Narrows Strait, and they have been separated for so long that they can no longer produce viable and fertile offspring with one another due to genetic differences.
Do we think that due to evolution, these two species will continue to differentiate from each other as they have the past thousands of years?
Yes, I do. The squirrels, just like every other species on Earth, are constantly evolving and will continue to evolve as long as they can reproduce successfully.
Well, that's all our time for today. Thank you for this amazing insight, Dr. Russell.